All
Mr.
right.
Mikey Garcia, thank you very much for returning to theboxingbar.com and welcome.
Thank you. Like always, it's a pleasure being on your show and being part of boxing, and just for all the fans out there, it's always good to give them a little insight on what we do and our thoughts.
You just received a world title shot for the first time in several years for someone to come out of Oxnard and to get a world title shot. What was it like that day that you got that news that you were going to fight for the world title and be the next fighter out of Oxnard that was born out of the 805 to represent us as a world champion?
Well, I definitely was very, very excited. I was happy. Finally, my opportunity is coming. My manager called me up and told me, you know what, we have a fight lined up for you to fight Caballero for the WBA title in July. What do you think? Should we take it or do you want to wait for Salido? What do you think? I told him, let's take it. I'm ready. And he said, okay, let me just, get over some of the details and, we'll try to get it done then. And last week he called me up and said, Mikey, I got to send you the contract. We got the contract for the fight. You want it, right? I said, of course I want it. Email it to me. So he emailed it to me. I signed that thing and faxed it to him within 20 minutes. I was excited to get my title shot. Finally, it's coming. It's what every fighter dreams of. And, fighting 4 years as an amateur and then 6 years now as a professional, it's finally here. It's what every fighter, dreams of getting to, and I'm getting my title shot opportunity this July 28th.
And who were the first persons you went and told this good news to once you got this news of your dream shot here for something that you've been working for a long time, that you've told us that you've been working for a long time? Who were the first person you decided to tell this news to?
Well, when I got the call, my wife was next to me. She didn't know really what we were talking about. And then I started going onto my email and hooking up my printer to print. She's asking me, what do you got to do? What are you printing? So it's just, something with boxing, a contract. And she just looked at me and she's like, is it for the fight? I said, yeah, it's for the world title fight. Oh, wow. She got probably more excited than me. She almost started crying, I think, or something. She looked a little teary. And then my dad came at the same time. He's outside playing with my daughter and my baby boy. And so I'm printing the stuff, and I walk out, and my dad says, where are you going? I said, I got to go fax some stuff. He's like, what? I'm like, oh, it's the contract. He's like, the contract for the fight? I'm like, yeah. He's like, really? For world title fight? I'm like, yeah, it's done. It's like, oh, okay, good, So it was them, too, that really, were the first ones to find out. They were here, so they found out. I didn't post anything up right away anywhere else until they called me back and said, okay, we got it. Cameron, my manager, said, I got it. Samson has it. It's good. Then I went online and Facebook and posted that on Facebook, just so everybody else already knew that I signed my contract. I did my part.
And I've always said your father was the godfather of boxing here in Oxnard, and I have no regrets ever saying something like that, and I'm never ashamed to say something like that because your father deserves all the credit there in the world for that. What did he feel about that moment when you told him that? Is he a type of hard person where it's hard to come up at him and let him know some news like that, knowing that he's had different world champions and different boxers in his time that he's trained? Is he someone that takes this as just another thing, or was it very exciting for him because you're his little boy?
Well, maybe he gets a little, different feeling because I'm his son. It'll be, another son that he takes into the ring, like when he did with my older brother Danny. He was fighting, and then with my brother Robert when they got their title shot. I'm sure he feels different than when it's someone else. But he's done this. He's been around big fights, big events, big championship fights. I don't expect him to be, different than just any other fight. And even myself, I was happy that I got the title fight, that I finally signed my contract for it. But it wasn't like jumping up and down, it's finally here, something like that. I just take it like any other day, dude. It's nothing, that I'm start jumping for. I'm happy and excited that I'm getting my title shot because that's what every fighter wants. My dad, I just told him straight out, it's the title shot, it's a contract, and he said, for the world title, really, is everything good? So yeah, I already read it. It's good. It's like, okay, well, let's get to work. And that's it. He just took it like anything else. It's almost not. I don't want to seem like cocky or anything like that, but it's something that we've already dealt with before, he's dealt with before. So it's just another thing that we got to go through. We already know the process, and it's not hard for me to tell him and talk about him fights or anything like that with him. He understands the boxing, he understands business, understands politics just like myself. It's just like, like I said before, it's just like another day at the office for us.
So having said that, are you going to train for this tough guy, Celestino Caballero? Are you going to train for him just like another day in the office, like you said? Or are you going to train for him? Is there like a special formula you guys are trying to build there because it is for a world title and because he is a tough competitor?
No, my dad will definitely push me a little more this time because it is for the world title. But my mindset to me and fighting will probably be the same. Just take like another fight. Whether he had a title or not, it wouldn't make a big difference on how I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna get ready, prepare myself, train hard because it is for a world title. But my mindset will still be, the same. I'm not gonna let, I don't get overexcited or anxious or nervous or anything like that because other fighters do. They say, when you're fighting under the lights or whatever, they might get a little nervous, a little antsy, or things like that. That hasn't happened to me. I just take every fight like any other fight. It's 4 corners, 4 ropes, my opponent and myself in the ring. That's it. This fight will probably be the same, but we will train harder. We will train probably more than other times because it is for the world title. But my mindset will still be the same.
There's a lot of people that figure that you don't live here anymore, so you represent somewhere else. Where would you say your heart is as far as where you came from and who you are?
Yeah, well, just because I'm living here doesn't mean that I'm not from Oxnard. If you grew up in a town like I did, I grew up in Oxnard and lived there, up until 2 years ago. I cannot say I don't belong to Oxnard. I do represent Oxnard, but being that I live here and people have treated me well here, the city has taken care. The gyms around have been, helping, supporting. People have been supporting me. So when I fight, I always they ask me, where you want to be called, where you want to be named after, coming out of what city or whatever, and I always tell them, put down that I fight out of Moreno Valley because that's where I'm living, but make sure that you add by way of Oxnard because that's where I grew up and that's what I still feel, I'm from Oxnard. Even though I just moved here, if you just recently moved over to Utah or someplace, you're not from Utah. You're living there maybe, but you're not from Utah. That's not who saw you grow up. Utah didn't see you grow up, or any other state. Same thing. I grew up in Oxnard. I have friends, family there, people that saw me grow up, people that know me, from Oxnard. That's where I'm from. I live here in Moreno Valley, and that's what I tell the announcer and reporters to show. I live in Moreno Valley, but I'm from Oxnard.
And a lot of people know that your father, Eduardo, the Big G Garcia, his last real world champion that he was dedicated 100% to was Fernando Vargas, which was pretty much our last champion out of here. Who would you say is your trainer right now? Would it be your brother, Robert Garcia? Would it be Eduardo Garcia? Who would you say is your primary trainer at the moment?
My trainer is my dad, Eduardo. He is the guy and the man in charge of my schedule, my training, everything for me. And that's my dad. Robert will come in and find out what my dad is planning on doing, what the schedule is like, come in a few weeks before the fight, bring some sparring partners, work out with me, just so that he also knows what we're doing, what we're training.
Just kind of overlook the project.
Yeah, just overlook a little. And the day of the fight, my brother takes care of the corner. He takes over the corner. My dad, he feels, he's going to get tired coming up the stairs a lot, and it's easier for my brother to communicate with myself and with the reporters and with the ref, with the, whoever's around, commissioners and everything, than my dad. So my dad allows my brother to take control of the corner and be the chief second there the day of the fight.
I've always said you were a safe bet to become the next world champion from the 805. Your whole family, whether it been Robert or your nephew Pelos, Javier Garcia, your father, I'm sure they could all agree. What do you think of your chances are fighting a guy like Celestino Caballero? Do you think your chances are pretty good to overcome a tough fighter like that? How do you see him as an opponent overall?
Well, Caballero is a very experienced fighter. He's had a lot of world title fights. He knows how to use his range, his height, his distance, at his advantage. But I still feel that I can either box from the outside, because I know how to stay on the outside and use my distance and measure my opponents to my advantage as well, or I can also fight on the inside. I think I have a very good chance of becoming the next world champion because I'm that good of a fighter. I'm a good fighter. I can, like I said, fight on the inside or stay on the outside, whichever benefits me the most. I have good power in both hands. I have good skills, good defense. I don't get hit as much. I have good skills, and that's why I feel that I have a good chance of winning. I know it's going to be a pretty hard fight because he's crafty, he's lanky, tall, and difficult. Whatever of course he's going to try to win. He's going to come in shape to win. He's not just going to, hand me over the belt. He's going to try to defend his title, but I feel that I have enough and more to win than what he does.
A lot of people, they're going to be comparing you from your last performance, which was against Bernabe Concepcion. How did you think you dealt with Bernabe Concepcion? How were you satisfied or not satisfied with that particular fight?
I was satisfied, definitely satisfied. I think we did real well. We did what we had to do. I was in great shape for that fight. I trained very, very hard. And then, the day of the fight, I was ready. I was expecting him to be more aggressive early on and to be more of a brawler than what he was. But he came in trying to stay on the outside a little, maybe try to confuse me, but that didn't confuse me. So I took care of business. I was landing my jabs, staying, with the tight defense, and started landing that right hand, and I finally hurt him in that 7th round, and I put him down, and so, I think it was good, and didn't really, in a way, prepare me for this fight because it's a totally different style, a different fighter, but I feel good coming into this fight.
And something I noticed in that fight with Concepcion is that you kept throwing your jab, and it opened up a lot of openings.
Yeah, well, not just Concepcion, but most of my fights, I always use my jab a lot, and it does open up more openings for my right hand, for hooks or whatever. The jab is the key. To unlock any door, you have to have a key, and I feel that my jab does that for me. I use my jab frequently. It's a stiff, solid jab, and other fighters don't pay attention to the jab or don't use it as much, but I do. I feel that it's what, I need to use to, prepare the right hand and to measure my fighter, to hold him back, to, time him, to, it opens up everything. And with Concepcion, I was doing that, and I've done that with all my other opponents. I start off with the jab, and, eventually the other punches will follow.
A lot of even your fans have a lot of questions on what's it going to be like, or what's Mikey going to be like when he has to fight under those bright lights, under a big stage, and for a world title. What you were going to be like? Were you going to freeze up? Were you going to be able to perform like you always do? In your opinion, right now, going into that fight, do you think you'll continue fighting like how you've been fighting in all your previous fights, or what do you think you're going to fight like on that particular night?
I've seen other fighters that do freeze up. They do, feel the heat, from the lights or whatever, you want to call it. They get the butterflies or anything. I don't think I'm gonna go through that. I've already been fighting on some, big cards. I'm not the headliner or anything, but I've been co-main event for some big shows where there's, thousands in attendance, and it's HBO, Showtime, and lights, and, everybody's there, and people there yelling and screaming, and that just doesn't bother me. Like, that just really doesn't make any effect on how I perform in the ring. It's not something that I pay attention to. To me, like I told you earlier, it's just another day in the office situation where I just, I take the fight how it is. I fight my fight, and that's it. I can't know for sure that, that's the same scenario for this time around. It is for a world title, so maybe that might be in my back of my head and, maybe play a part in this, but I really don't think it will. I just think, I'm comfortable, I'm fighting, I'm confident in my abilities, and I think it'll just be like another fight. I think I'm going to show everybody that's just, who I am.
Mikey Garcia, thank you very much once again for returning to theboxingbar.com with your honest opinions, with your very intelligent opinions on what's going to happen. I hope to talk to you after you become the world champion because my friend, like I said, told your nephew, Pedlos, and everybody else, it's a safe bet. Mikey Garcia will be our next world champion, whether you like it or not. Thank you again for coming on to theboxingbar.com, and I hope to talk to you once you have that title in your hand.
Oh, thanks. Like I said, anytime, I appreciate, the support from true fans, from, people that understand and know boxing and, support us and my family and our team. I want to thank everybody and just, make sure that you stay tuned in and, we bring that title back to our family and to our people and celebrate together and enjoy, another world champion.
Mikey Garcia, the future world champion. Thank you very much, my man.
Oh, thank you. No problem.